Hello, everybody. This is Ryan over at High Carb Regenerator. Welcome to my channel. I'm just going to be reacting to some comments here. I did a couple of rides last Friday and Sunday. I just handheld did a couple of short videos, so I'm going to have that in the background because the background here is nothing to look at. And the first one I'm going to start off with here is I'm interested in your ideas, but I'm weary as you appear to be still overweight. Have you got any plans to lose the fat? Why would I start a fat loss journey channel if I didn't intend on doing so? I have lost 140 pounds. I mean, the way this reads to me is you're obese. I hate you, but I'm leaving a comment anyway. Because that's just what my brain does. My brain doesn't like anything. I've lost over 140 pounds at this point. It's coming off. Yes, I've had some hills and valleys, kind of like you'll see on the video behind me, but we're getting there. It does take longer than you'd like. But when you fall off the bandwagon, you get hit. She absolutely. So there's a bunch on here that were like hating on the videos I made about durian, Ryder, and Freely. I'm not really going to get into that, but I did have one here. And yes, McDougall always says sugar's not a health food. It rots your teeth. No, he doesn't. He doesn't say that. Matter of fact, his mentor advocated for sugar and rice. So that isn't true. This is just new. This is just him lately. He has jumped on this 50-50 plate, even though he said he wishes he didn't write the 50-50 plate. I've posted videos on that. Mindset where sugar's bad, but eat your sugar, which doesn't make any sense. I mean, everything he tells you to eat turns into sugar. So obviously that would rot your teeth too. And people are going to come on here like, well, you know, it's the refined sugar that's doing it. Like, you are refining sugar as soon as you eat. You are pulverizing it and turning it into a juice, which doesn't sound great, but that's what your body does. You are a very expensive juicer. Somebody asked, is it real that Durian Ryder is suing Freely? I mean, I'm not there, but he says he is, so I don't know why he would lie about that. Somebody said, love him. Please keep bringing him back. Yeah, we're going to do more interviews. I know we will. Him and I are not exactly the best at timing. We're not great on time. So it will happen when he'll probably just message me at like midnight, like he usually does. And I'll have to be on here all tired, like, you know, bro. But because of the 15-hour time difference, there's not a whole lot that can be done about it. Now somebody said he has terrible sleep advice. I'm not mad into this. I don't know what that means. Not mad into the science, but it is good persuasion for normies. He has proven blah, blah, blah. Basically, this person's saying that they have proven that there is such a thing as morning people and evening people. I mean, honestly, if you look at this is a random comment, but if you look at potatoes, regular potatoes, they are nightshades. And if you look at sweet potatoes, they are morning glories. So I guess I'm a regular potato because I don't do too well with the whole morning thing. I'm not terribly great at it. And because of the dynamics of the house that I've been living in the last decade or so, over the decade, it's just been easier in times that I don't have a normal job to just revert to this schedule because everything's available and I can just do what I want to do. And when I am left, if you put me in, like, there was actually an experiment done years ago. It was during World War II. I don't think it was done to the people's, I don't think the people had a choice. But there was an experiment done years ago where they put a bunch of people, a lot of people, I'm pretty sure it was in the camps, into a area where no one could tell what time it was, had no reference to time whatsoever. Everything else was available to them. They could eat. They could play whatever they played back in the day. They could do whatever they wanted to. I don't know if it was co-ed. They could just go at it whatever they wanted. I have no idea the specifics, but I do know that they only ended up sleeping on average 4 to 6 hours a day. And the time variance on this was all over the place. People who identified as night people tended to still sleep at night, like early morning, and get up later. And they did the exact same thing. And these people were in this for a very long time. They had no idea what time it was either. And they still lived by this calendar that's in their head. So, and I've had people reach out to me that said they lost all their weight and they had just as crazy sleep schedules as I do. And, I've been way skinnier than I am now, but then I added in the muffins. If you have not seen this stuff, there's plenty of videos that I've made on this. I added in the hummus and the muffins again, and I just can't handle that extra fat. I just pretty quickly get fat, but not quick enough that I realize that it's happening until I'm like, not this again. All right, what is the issue I'm having and why I haven't stuck with high carb, low fat is edema. If you're hearing that noise, that is my Vitamix being used by somebody but me. I swell up like a tick when I eat cooked starches, especially. I don't know, a lot of people do, especially if you're dehydrated. This is a very common thing. If you're dehydrated eating starches, you can have a lot of edema because of the fact of the digestive process. It's a lot harder than fruits. I don't know if it's grain intolerance or what. I think it's just starch altogether. We're not technically starchivores. We just can live on it. You couldn't really eat rice without cooking it. You can eat corn. You can eat corn without cooking it. That's one of the grains that you can legit eat without cooking it. But most of them you can't. My legs got bigger and bigger yesterday and I weigh nothing. And all right, so this person was low on vitamin D and they also live in an extremely high altitude. So that could have a lot to do with it. And I've noticed for myself that if my vitamin D is low, my digestion is even worse than normal. Yep, you need to make more with durian Reiner. Yes, I do, but it's not, it's my channel. Like I'm going to have to separate the two here. It has turned into the Ryan and Durian Rider show, not the high carb regenerator show, which is kind of fine, but gotta separate it at the same time. I do like having him on here, and we are very similar. So I think the two of us combined really do have a lot of good stuff. Asian noodles are made of rice or eggs. Yes. The regular ones are gluten. That's probably what you're giving you anxiety. So most Asian noodles are actually made of, especially in Japan, are made of buckwheat. Sorry, my nose. Are made of buckwheat and gluten. The others are just gluten or wheat or whatever and water based. I mean, they're very simple noodles. Now you can get rice noodles, which I have not done for some reason. I go to the Asian store. I see them. They're right there. And I don't grab them. I have no idea. I just leave them there. And obviously I'm not going to have the egg ones. I don't know why I've never grabbed I think because the rice ones are usually like clearer-ish. And I'm like, I don't know, man. It just doesn't look right. There's a million videos telling me sugar's bad and pointing to donuts, ice cream, and cinnamon roll. This is a huge problem with this. 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years. No, maybe it was only a year. I think it was like last year, maybe. There's this day called Fat Tuesdays right by Lent. And I was asked if I could make some cinnamon rolls. And I'm like, sure. I hadn't made them in a long time. And I forgot. There's like 3 whole sticks of butter. Vegan butter. Still butter. And these things, plus the chopped up pecans and walnuts and everything. I mean, it's just fat. It's just fat. Cookies are, it's just so much fat in this stuff. And that is what is causing the Randall cycle. The Randall cycle is Well, there's another question. I'm answering another question on here. So basically, somebody also asked, let me find, hopefully I can find this comment. Let's see. There's so many here. Somebody basically said that the reason that they're agreeing with me, that the reason that if you eat sugar, there's no problems. But if you have fat and you eat sugar, that's when the problems happen. And what happens is when you eat fat, it coats the receptor sites of your cell, and the receptor sites can't absorb the carbohydrates. Then your pancreas releases more insulin, and it keeps doing this until the sugar is finally in the cells, because it only wants, like, I think 5 grams in the bloodstream at all times. And while this is happening, you can't actually utilize fat, so it stores the fat. And that's what happens, is you just store all that fat that you ate, and the insulin, and because the insulin's so high, you can't actually do anything with the fat. You can't utilize it, so it just stores it. And it's a nasty cycle, and this is called insulin resistance, and this is how you get really fat. So some people are extremely insulin resistant, which I am one of those. So if I have any kind of fat, really, I just go into that cycle. I think I'm getting more insulin sensitive finally, but it is taking a bit longer than I would like, but there's nothing I can do about it. So yes, when you eat the so-called quote-unquote sugar that the mainstream media wants to talk about, there's so much fat in it that, of course, it's going to cause a lot of problems. When you have just sugar and you don't have any fat, or very minimal, then you are much better off. And you don't have that Randle cycle, because the body can just absorb the sugar. And that's it. As of now, I've been on this protocol, for 5 months and gained 30 pounds, which puts me in an overweight range for my height. This has shocked me at first, but I recognize this as a painfully necessary part of the process of becoming my fittest self. Luckily, my weight has started to plateau and my excessive hyperphagia has subsided. I really want to drop this weight because the thigh chafing has becoming annoyingly painful. So I have this thigh chafing no matter what, because my legs are just so big from weightlifting. It is what it is. And yes, it sucks. I'm glad this person is finally plateauing. It really seems that they are on the other end of this, which is very good. It can take a very long time for some people, and for other people, it's just a matter of months. For me, it's generally a matter of months. I think I'm on the other end of it. I hope. My weight has definitely plateaued for sure. And there are days now that I'm actually in the high 250s, which I have not seen, in over half a decade. So yes, it does take a long time for some. For some people who are just always really eating, not dieting, and then they go high carb, you might not have any of this. You might not have any idea what any of us are talking about. Looks like Durian Rider, get back to them. A great read is The Biology of Human Starvation. Okay, so this is the book. This is the book, Biology of Human Starvation. Is a book that talks about, they did experiments on people to see if metabolic damage actually exists, and it does. I don't really want to go into the whole thing because I haven't read it in a long time, and I've only seen snippets. But if I get my whole hands on a book, I'll actually just go over it in a video. My sister and I are on his protocol. I bought his book, and I am enjoying eating this way. We both notice that we have joint pain or arthritic pain when we start high sugar. It first started in my feet, the knees, shoulders, arms, fingers. It went away in the feet and knees, but still pain in the fingers, shoulders, and back now. Was wondering why this is happening. Thank you. So this happens for a lot of people. I'm going to actually have him answer this. This is actually just for him. But a lot of people have this, and I can't remember the exact reason why, but it does go away. I think it's like a form of detox, because if you go on vegan in the beginning, there's a lot of random symptoms that you're going to get. I mean, just random stuff. Some people have hair issues with their hair. Some people have issues with their teeth. Some people have issues with this. At some point, it levels out. But I am going to ask him that question for sure. These are great. Keep them up. Awesome. Go to Subway, order for both of you. Somebody wanted to ask me what I would order at Subway. I don't know. I've never been a fan of Subway, even when I ate whatever. I never was a huge fan. Just bread. I don't know. Bread, a couple veggies on it. All right. Sorry, I was out of focus. I don't know how long that went on for because I don't really look it out over at the monitor. But this is basically just you looking or listening to, looking at my background or listening to this. So I think it'll be fine. I would like to ask him if he has any suggestions on high volumes, eating high volumes of food. I mean, honestly, it's something that you just got to keep doing. I mean, really, it's astonishing how much food that you can actually eat, especially if you're coming from a dieter's life. The difference in your face in just a week. Wow. Thanks. I'm with myself most of the days, so I don't notice some of this stuff. I really enjoy what you have during when you have Durian Rider on your channel. You two have a great dynamic. It's interesting hearing you two airing your opinion. Do it more often. Thanks. It is my channel too, so I'm going to do it some, but I don't want this to be like a Durian Rider takeover. Everyone is different goals and different paths. Dan is amazing. All right, so this person I'm almost positive is talking about Dan the Man. I have no issues with Dan the Man. I wish he was a little more transparent because I know for a fact, I know people who know him, that he doesn't always do everything he says he does off of camera. And he's got some interesting habits. Could you discuss pesticides and potentially GMOs that most fruit and veggies are sprayed with? All right, so they're not actually sprayed with GMOs. GMOs is genetically modified, whatever, fruit or vegetables. They're not great, but trying to find something that isn't GMO this day, I mean, good luck. Even heirloom, because heirloom's extremely hard to grow, because the creatures just go after it unless you have the right soil, which the right soil is extremely expensive. So chances are no matter what you're buying anymore, even regular bananas, the Cavendish, that's GMO. As far as the pesticides go, literally you can make bombs, nerve gas, laughing gas out of the pesticides because that's literally the exact same compound, that is used to make some of this stuff. So that is scary stuff. And that is why I tell people to stay away from, and certainly do not juice conventional fruits and vegetables. Other than maybe citrus, because you can kind of get the citrus, clean enough. I do juice conventional oranges, but obviously I don't juice anything with the orange, and I take most of the pith off. You can use cleaners and stuff, but I mean, the pesticides, basically after World War II, they had all this bomb making material left over, and they're like, I don't know what to do with this. You know what to do? And they're like, we'll just sell it for fertilizer. And that's basically how it started. And this is why you can take fertilizers and make bombs out of it. I mean, so is that really something that you want on your food? I don't think so. Maybe some people do. I don't know. But this is not my thing. So stay away from it as much as possible. I did make a video somewhat a while ago. I think it was in the winter about the Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen. I would watch that video, and that's a good place to start. Somebody said, I like watching your videos. You seem to be a very nice, humble person. What's your advice on emotional eating and depression? Also, your take on alcohol abuse interests me. Keep up the good work and good luck on your journey. Alcohol, I think, is terrible. Absolutely terrible. I don't know why anybody does this stuff. I recently did a roundtable, and somebody was going to ask you, would you date a non-vegan? There's a couple of things. I would rather date as somebody who was not vegan, that was not a drinker, than a vegan who is a drinker. I just try to stay away from. I stay away from it at all costs. I don't go to bars. I don't go to any of this. I wouldn't want to meet somebody at a bar. It's just not my thing. I think it's very, very bad. But if you do it, you do it. Whatever. It's just not my thing. Advice on emotional eating and depression. I think most emotional eating is actually binging, and I think most of it comes from not eating enough. People thinking they need to starve themselves down, exercise more, eat less. And what eventually happens is you pay the piper. It eventually happens. You eventually get to a point where you cannot diet yourself anymore and you just start eating like crazy. And a lot of this low diet, the diet that tells you to eat like 1,600 calories a day or something like that, that could just completely destroys your thyroid and all your other hormones. And that's what causes depression. Then you go in SSRIs and antidepressants, basically. And then you start drinking the caffeine to try to make up for the lack of energy because you're not eating anything. And then you wonder why you're sick all the time. You wonder why you're always depressed. And you're like an AI intelligent person, like artificial intelligence because you're running on caffeine and SSRIs. And then, it hits and all of a sudden you're binging and you don't know why and you're depressed about this. And it's just a terrible cycle to be in when all you had to do was eat the amount of food you needed to eat. And that's where we're at in the current state of the world. I did post, this is the first time I didn't get a ton of comments, so I was hurt, real hurt. So I asked if I make a comment and answer, what are some of your comments? How much in advance do you buy your bananas for them to be ripe every day? How many bananas do you buy at once? Depends on what the time of the year is. Right now I can buy 40 pounds at once and I'll have bananas on good rotation. If it's wintertime, I literally sometimes have to rotate 120 pounds, which is 3 boxes, because if there's no humidity, they are just not going to ripen fast. Now they ripen faster in black bags than clear bags. You can put an apple in there. You really shouldn't eat the apple afterwards. I forget what happens to it, but I don't want to have anything to do with it. So I don't actually keep my apples anywhere near my bananas, no matter what time of year it is, because I know there's some kind of weird frequency that happens that can really change the apples from what I've read. So it really depends on, did she ask how much in advance do you buy? All right. So she didn't ask me how much. I buy 40 pounds and it's about weekly. It's usually weekly. When I add in rice, then it's like weekly. If I don't add in rice, then it might be a little more often. Would you be willing to try an experiment? I don't know what experiment they're talking about. If it was anything in 2 years ago, then no. How much cycling is too much cycling, causing cortisol, increase, metabolic damage, and weight gain? I don't think there's any weight gain that comes from it, but I do think there's metabolic damage. Possibly cortisol increase, definitely. So it depends on how stressed out you are, really. If you're extremely stressed out, like I'm in a kind of a stressful situation right now, and if you're in a similar situation, like I'm trying to figure out where I'm moving and everything like that, which can play with your mind, the cortisol is going to go up faster. But ironically, I had my cortisol tested, it was probably about a month ago already, maybe even more, and it was fine. But it would be higher when you're in a stressful situation. So like a 15-minute ride might put you over. You just never know. That's why I say when you're really stressed out, go for a walk or rebound, because I find that it's not anywhere near as taxing as riding for whatever reason. And I think that's there's a bunch on here, but I feel like a lot of these get answered in the video. And unfortunately, a lot of the questions now are for Durian Rider. The channel has been hijacked. I'm not mad about it. What does Durian Rider say about high fructose corn syrup? Is it okay to use non-organic white sugar? I mean, I don't know what he's going to say, but me personally, I don't know why you would use high fructose corn syrup when you could just use sugar. I don't know why there would be no real benefit to that. Is it okay to use non-organic sugar? Yeah, of course. I like the cane sugar. It's a little, the granules are a little bit bigger than the white sugar. See which one works with your stomach better. I find that the table sugar does not work well with my gut, but the cane sugar is fine. And I know they're the same kind, but they're just broken down a little bit more. Discuss supplementing with D3, calcium, magnesium, and his thoughts on Ray Pete's bioenergetic diet approach. I have no idea who that is, but I can answer the D3. I actually take about 30,000 unit IUs a day because otherwise mine goes down so low. It's down to like 6. Calcium I don't bother with because it's always fine. Magnesium I only take when I do a lot of cycling. But I'll see what he says with that. I've noticed when you do a lot of exercise, magnesium really is something that you should supplement, especially if you're somebody who, after you are on a long cycle and your hamstrings start seizing up or your calves start, not seizing, but like Charlie horsing, then add more magnesium in. You can make nice cream out of frozen bananas. It's delicious. Yeah, of course. I've done it many times, but I just get a weird cough, so I don't do it that often. For whatever reason, the real cold food does not agree with my throat. My throat's like, meh. Don't think so. And I think that's about it. A lot of these questions are very similar, so I'm just, watching this, you kind of get the answers that I have for each one. But thanks for watching. If this did you any good, give it a like, subscribe, and if you think of anybody that could benefit from this, give it a share, whether it's this video or all my other videos. Anyways, I will talk to you in the next video.